No.
Man, do I have a review for you guys. I've never had a shoe before that's had so many strong opposing likes and dislikes for the shoe. Like nothing was like in between for the shoe. It's either I really liked it or I really hated it. So I will say shout out to DC for giving me a shoe that I can get super critical on, because this is that shoe for sure. One of the main things I loved about this shoe was DC's Super Suede. It's something that I can say has stood the test of time. I've never had a pair of shoes that had Super Suede that I put a hole in, even like all the way back to the Mikey Taylor S. Like those didn't even get a hole in them. I skated those for a long time, and these are no exception. I have not put a hole in the suede when it came to the DC Hyde S. Granted, I've only been skating it for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, maybe a month. Still, the fact that I have not even started forming a hole is pretty sick, and I can't think of any shoes that had Super Suede that I put a hole in. So shouts out to DC for always keeping that suede super. What I didn't like is that at the toe box, there's a little stitching area right here that I just wish either was higher up or further back, because this split open for me for sure. And I wouldn't count that as a hole in the suede because that's where the stitching laid. And if you bust through the stitching actually matters, so it just flips open. I couldn't imagine me actually putting a hole through under this layer or whatever, just because it would take a lot to flip this back and then be able to reach that layer. So I wasn't too concerned about it. I was just like, damn, I wish that didn't happen. So that's something I guess to look out for if you get these shoes, but nothing to also be really too concerned about. One of the things I thought I was really gonna love but I actually ended up really disliking is the lacing pattern for this shoe. For all the other shoes I've gotten with this lacing pattern, it's worked out way better. For these, for some reason, I can't really tighten up the shoe. And yeah, I just can't tighten up the shoe. It's really weird. Normally with this lacing system, I think it's like Gillian or it's something with a G, and I cannot remember it, but it'll come back to me after I finish this video for sure. But what's supposed to happen is as you tighten this, like one by one, like you could just pull it. You're supposed to just be able to pull it, and it's supposed to tighten up the whole entire shoe for you. With this shoe, maybe it's just me, but when I pull on these, the toe box area doesn't get any tighter. The front of the vamp doesn't get any tighter. But when I get to the back gets tighter. So it just looks like super huge at the toe and really, really thin at the back. And then it still doesn't secure my foot in the shoe. So it just kind of is no point in tightening the laces. It's kind of weird. It's as if these were meant to be a slip-on, but they're not. And they're not even built like a slip-on. So there's one thing about this shoe I can say I really disliked, and it's gonna probably kind of catch you guys by surprise. I completely hated the whole entire upper of this shoe. I know I just said a whole bunch of good stuff about the lacing and the super suede and all that stuff, but the structure when it comes to the DC High, in my opinion, is one of the worst I've ever skated in. And it's so weird to say that because they're definitely not the worst, but they're pretty close. And the only reason so is because the top of the shoe has no structure at all. And for those who like ultimate board feel and to like to have the complete control of the board no matter what, the structure of this shoe being like this is probably one of the best things that you can have. For me, I like a lot more structure. This shoe did not fit the bill. In fact, I rolled my ankles a lot in these shoes. Like, none of them super bad, but it's still a little bit too frequent for one pair of shoes. And I don't know, it didn't help me feel confident in tricks I was wanting to learn, or in tricks I wanted to get back, or in trying tricks in general. Like, having the upper like this literally was the worst thing I could have at this very moment in time. Not saying that DC doesn't make quality uppers, because every other DC shoe I've had has definitely had way more structured uppers. Even the DC West Kramers, which is a slip-on, you shouldn't expect a slip-on to have structure at all. Those had a little bit more structure. These in particular, it's too wonky, it's too floppy at the top for me. I personally did not like it at all. It's nothing to be extremely alarmed by if you're used to shoes that don't like hold your foot 100% still until you're like trying to do tricks. If you're used to skating Converses, if you're used to skating slip-ons, you'll be completely fine in these. Me, not so much. With all that being said, there was one part of this shoe I absolutely loved. This was actually my favorite part of any DC shoe, and that is the Impact Eye DC sole. This sole performed so well that I didn't hate this shoe. I normally like a lot more structure in the upper of my shoe, but this sole being on this shoe made me continue skating this shoe. If this sole was the same sole that they use for instance, the Josh Callis Vault or the Wes Kramers or anything of that nature, I probably would have been stopped skating these shoes. But because of this Impact Eye technology giving me superior grip, superior impact protection for a vulcanized shoe, I definitely kept skating these shoes. Will I keep skating these shoes past today? Probably not. I've rolled my ankle enough in the past couple of days, and I'd rather not continue rolling my ankles. But for this sole to be as good as it was, with everything else going on with the shoe, I was thoroughly surprised. The cones being so deep on the heel made it so I could take as much impact as I needed to for a vulcanized shoe in the heel of my shoe, and made it a lot harder to catch heel bruise. Not saying that this shoe can take all the impact in the world and you'll be completely fine, because that's definitely not the case. But this shoe would definitely take more impact than your average vulcanized shoe. So shouts out to DC for coming up with the Impact Eye in this shoe. And it makes sense because Evan Smith had Impact Eye technology in his last shoe too. Well, in his first shoe as well. So it's just pretty cool to see that reused again, and that it actually works. It has so much flex, has so much grip, and like I said, the impact it took was phenomenal. So yeah, the sole is about as thick as the Foxing tape looks. So you have a very, very thin ortholite footbed in there. At first, I tried to switch out for my footprints, but when I put the footprints in here, it has my foot way too high in the shoe, and that was definitely going to make me roll some more, or it is going to make it hard to keep my foot in the shoe. This cut is actually a lot lower. I know it doesn't look like it, but it's cut pretty low, and it sits pretty low below my ankles. So to have another insole in there that's thicker than this footbed here definitely is not the move. If you are going to replace the insole in here, I recommend something that's 3 millimeters or smaller, because anything bigger than that is going to have you sitting really high in the shoe. Overall, do I think you guys should use your money to get the DC Hyde S? And I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, I do not believe you guys should do that. If you guys are like me, you probably prefer a little bit more structure in your shoes, and these did not have enough structure to go on ahead and say I'd buy another pair. Now, am I saying that this is a horrible shoe? No. If you don't need that much structure, I definitely say go on ahead and grab these shoes, because you'll probably love them. Or if you skate a lot of slip-ons and you enjoy skating slip-ons, grab these shoes, you'll probably love them. But for me, I like shoes that have a little bit more structure towards the heel, towards the forefoot, that make it harder to roll your ankle. And I just did not find it in this shoe. This shoe did have a really good flick. The heel flip for it was so-so. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't that great either. But the overall structure was the killer for me. If this had more structure, kind of like the Josh Callis Volk or any of those shoes, then I would definitely probably still be skating these, and probably would recommend these, especially if the Josh Callis had the Impact Eye. So for me, like I said, I'm gonna say no. I don't recommend these. But if you like slip-ons, if you like shoes that have a little less structure, definitely go on ahead and grab yourself a pair. But that was the review of the DC Hyde S. If you guys enjoyed this video, please hit that like button for me, share it around. And if you guys are not subscribed, I do skateboarding videos on here, I do shoe reviews on here, and a couple other things here and there on my channel. So I definitely think it's worth hitting the subscribe button, checking me out for a month or so, and then deciding if you want to go further or not. I think that you guys will enjoy my content and want to stay longer and invite some of your friends. So hopefully you guys hit that subscribe button if you guys are not subscribed already. Hopefully you guys check out some more videos. I'll have a playlist for more shoe reviews somewhere in this general area at the end of the video. You guys, peace out. Go skate. Have a great day.
Everybody's living like the clock don't change. Being comfortable equivalent to the same old thing. I'll be damned if I am living like there's not a better day. It's my time to go and get it. Fuck what anybody say.